There we go. I wasn't going at first, but hey everybody, this is Daryl Davey with Oak and Hollow Games down in the workshop. Doing another weekly update over here. Some people like to see me as I was working going over some of this stuff for anybody who has 3D printers and whatnot, or thinking about getting them, so I figured I'll do it over here for a little bit. So some of the big stuff that we did this week was we were able to go to play Ward with the creators earlier before they went on to their Rise of the Podcast appearance, which usually they put up on YouTube, so if you missed watching it last night, they will most likely share a link in their group. I'll try to share one in ours as well. So if you missed their live one on Twitch, you can always tune in and see their stuff about a week or so later on YouTube. But they went on there, and got to do that. But beforehand, I got to play another round. And what was nice about playing it, I feel a little self-conscious because I don't want resin getting on my hands, so I'm going to lean like this. It was nice playing with a deck that was running more at full capacity when some of the other playtesters I had done this with, Jeremy, Phil, etc., we played. Phil and I had made... Well, we tried making decks, and they were just iffy, and then we went back and we did a draft to make them a little bit more balanced. And we played with each other with that, but the problem of having two decks was that we only had two okay decks rather than one pretty good deck. It was a little bit reaffirming when I went there, and Marty is the guy who I got to play with this time, was looking through my cards. Oh, this is actually a really good deck. I had a few cards that were neat, nice, and playing with somebody who's played before, there was no rules that I noticed that we were doing incorrectly. So when I had played with my friends, everything was being played correctly. There was some stuff I was asking more for viewers' sake. If you want, that video is actually also on our site as well. So scroll down probably like 2-3 posts below this one and you'll be able to see us play through that. But we talk as if we haven't played the game before to get people to kind of know, and a nice little demo preview of that in a loose sense. But I did enjoy it. I will say I enjoyed it even more than when I had played without someone who has played. But to the same degree as I would say, you know, picking up any brand new game and then having played it again with somebody who knows what they're doing it's a different experience. Doesn't really change much on what I had said, though again most of what I had mentioned is stuff that's pretty easily fixed as the game evolves and grows bigger. They do now stock it at Gameplay Stay, so make sure you go over there and see that. But it was fun. I laid down a pretty good card right away and got some good stacks on it, and we both had a couple of oopsies in the game where he could have played a card and canceled something, I could have played a card and canceled something. But it was what it was, but it was still enjoyable to watch, or to play again with somebody who's had some experience. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't change a whole lot about what we had mentioned in our review, but it was cool. It was neat. The other piece of information I wanted to come and share was that Dulucon has officially made a post that they were not running it this year. This late in the game, I was sort of expecting that to be the case, just because we haven't heard anything. Normally they'll contact us mid-summer, give a little, like, hey, if you're interested, think about this, and then more details around this time, which is why I haven't been producing a new batch of Skirmish or All Hallows Eve. I was going to use the time I'm normally printing for Dulucon to get Graveyard Smash out, because I had mentioned a few times that there was something we were doing that I would have been able to get it done, and we just decided both Phil and I are very busy with the play this year, so we didn't, and I've spoken on that enough. But regardless, coming back to the point, is that Dulucon did officially make a post saying that they will not be having Dulucon this year, and it's a bummer. Having not been reached out to, I guess I wasn't intending to be there, just I guess where I went on that tangent, because we weren't making extra boxes or wouldn't have needed to. But it's still a bummer. You know, they had some really cool stuff going on. It doesn't mean that they're closed forever. I'd be curious to see what a year off could do and what may change. But I know a lot of people who are involved with that are pretty busy right now, and life gets to you. But doesn't mean that other opportunities might not be out there. I'd love to get something with the local game stores going once I think I'm done with the play and getting Graveyard Smash finalized. I want to reach out to some game stores and talk about some cooperative stuff that I think could be really neat. So those are the main things. I had been printing those last couple of skirmish pictures, like I had mentioned in the last video, and I had gotten enough done, and still, admittedly, haven't snipped them. And I just needed to do some barriers as well. I might pull this up a bit or move that so you can see a little bit better. But there will be the last things. One print of barriers will cover what I need. And then the last couple boxes of skirmish will be done. But I think there's only 3 remaining copies on my end, and I believe Gameplay Stay has a few as well. So if that's something you want to look at, it'll probably not be until January, I would expect, maybe December, that I'd start doing some more prints unless there's like big demand for it. So act now or you might miss out on those. But that being said, I had been doing those prints, and on the last one, the print failed. And so in the resin, here, I do want to switch you in a little bit so I can point out some stuff. And then I'll move you back out. So in these resin ones, at least the Elegoo Mars, if there is a print fail, it means, you know, something's messed up. You can use this tool, and it lights the whole bottom, and it makes a layer of resin that's been cured. So anything that's stuck to the bottom can be peeled off in like one nice strip. And I'm going to show you the process of cleaning that now. Again, typically you're supposed to have gloves and eyeglasses on, so I'm just going to be extra safe. Don't follow what I'm doing. I'm doing it because I'm on camera here, so you can see better and I can touch things if I need to. But it's kind of a pain when it happens. I didn't before know that there was that tool that would help clean that. And ruined a few screens picking at it, trying to get the stuff off, just because when it adheres to it, it adheres really, really solidly. So once I found that, which is literally like a big tool thing, I don't know how I didn't see it, I'm just dumb. It makes it a lot quicker, or well, safer in that regard for the stuff, but still a bit of a task because this one peeled up enough to where I could probably just peel it off, but typically you have to pour the resin all the way in. It's a whole thing. You'll be seeing it here. So I'm going to move back out a little bit as I do this. So cover comes off, and you can see that I didn't even get as far as to taking the failed prints off of the thing. So we'll do that now because it's not a full failure. So what I do with these is I set them in any of the ones that came out successfully. I will put them here as though they are a full set, and then I have a box, you can't really see it too well, way down here, a little tackle box that has slots for all the different components that could be in there. And what that does is if on another print something fails, let's say it doesn't put out a knight, I can just use one of the knights from the previously one, and the theory is that way I'm wasting less. It also is very nice because it shows me, as I'm making those, which ones are failing the most, meaning I can go back to my files and check on maybe it wasn't as far down as the others, or there's a reason why something is continuously failing. So it kind of helps me troubleshoot which one has the problem. Sometimes it's just fairly random, and it's just the nature of the game. It is not unheard of for prints to fail. I can be doing a run of 10, 15 without a single failure, and then I'll have 3 or 4 that'll go, or I'll do one and it'll fail the next time. It's kind of random, but heat, temperature, humidity, all that sort of stuff plays into this. So I'm actually going to start this up while I'm cleaning that, just to double task. This is the one thing I want to... I'm thinking of a system where I can hook these tops, because it's the one thing where I'm always one space shy to put everything up where I need. But I'll do that for a little bit longer. Just because they've been sitting there. So now I've got that scraped. I put this back on. Sometimes I check if the print has failed to make sure it's not something up on my plate that has failed. And then for me, I used to just have it on my regular board. I recently got, I need just a sturdier table in general, but I got a cutting block from Goodwill, or not Goodwill, Savers, and that way if I miss and this thing sinks into there, it doesn't do as much damage and it kind of takes impact, but it's also harder where I would scrape and sometimes things, I wouldn't be able to get enough force because it was just pressing on something softer. Mind you, the whole table itself should probably be a bit sturdier than I have, but I digress. So, take this off. I put a napkin down because these screens can be fairly fragile, and I want to make sure that they are not, it's not scraping the bottom of the screen, puncturing a hole. If there's maybe something that clipped and it shot over here, you know, it just, something to keep that screen safe. Now, I don't have quite enough. I could grab this without doing it, but since you guys are on, I might as well run you through it. So, take my old resin. They do come with these small filters to help any debris or stuff that might have gotten caught from going in. I use them when I feel it's necessary. I do not think it's an every time deal. And then I try to get as much of the resin as I can from this back in, because I don't need to waste much. I don't want to waste much. It's expensive, and the more I waste, the quicker I have to refill, and it slows down projects. So I get it all in, set it on here. It also helps keep the resin contained in itself. And once it's back here, I'm just going to take you with me to show you. Now, this has been sitting for a few days, so it's come up a bit more. But as you can see in here, it leaves this little plate. And usually, you do have to kind of pick at the edge and scrape with it. You never want to use a metal one. I just use this scraper, pull it up, and then we toss it. Some people will let them dry out. It's a little too, like, you just put them out in the sun, that way they cure and it's not degrading and going back into stuff. I like to do that when I can. Now is not really the time where I can do that as well. Once that is all said and done, pour it in, make sure I don't touch anything that's been off to the side. Oh, perfect, you're back. Hopefully it hasn't cut it down to 2 videos. I noticed that you were gone for a second. So all I've done was pour back in the resin. Once I tossed that, I'll find that cap. Oh, I was talking a bit on how people will leave their resin out in the sun to cure, so it can't leach into things, which I think is a very good practice to do when I do it when I can. Now is not one of those times, but once I make sure everything's clean and dried off, so I'm not going to pour any extra resin in on the screen or have it cure underneath, put it back in, tighten her down. I used to be a lot more anal about this step and having to re-level every time. Typically, once you have things dialed in and you make sure stuff is tight, I rarely have to re-level unless I really, really think there's a problem. That's a whole other process that I'll go through with you all someday as well, I am sure. Now that that is out and that is done, I will set those to the side. Boop, boop. And cover goes back on. So I'm using that again for a bit. Shut her down. I might trim these at some point. I might do a trim video at some point where I just snip all the pieces and zen out while doing it. I usually listen to music. It's kind of fun. But this is all set. Normally I put it in, then pour, just so I'm not like transferring this shaky thing up and whatever. cover goes back on, and now the last print we need to do, and hopefully this file does have it. Sometimes I don't have all the files on each of mine skirmish barriers, but I do this time. Press print, and we're off to the rodeo. So, that is cleaning the bottom. I didn't obviously take you through the button steps in the beginning because I'd already done that, but cleaning. For those of you who are tuning in near the end here, we just talked about Ward getting to play that again, and how Gameplay Stay has that on their shelves now. And about the unfortunate cancellation of Dulucon this year. So, those are the main things I wanted to get out. Hey Ben, how's it going? You might already be gone at this point. I just noticed you're down there. But, Ben, we need to get together. You need to get your skirmish and all the other accessories. And, yeah, life's busy. But play's coming about to the midpoint here. So pretty soon I'll be a lot more free. And hopefully we can hang out. With that said, hoping to still get some Graveyard Smash in over the next little while here. I want to make sure that we are using those house squares and stuff, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. This was kind of another random one, but I really appreciate you being here, and we will see you soon.